you're about to see my strongest win on chess.com. And it happened no less in one of my favorite openings of all time. And there's a reason that on my channel you've never seen a singular gambit video. I don't advertise gambits. I don't recommend you play gambits. I don't think gambits in general are good, even though there are some that are quite playable. This gambit, though, is not only my favorite, I believe it's actually playable in everything except classical chess. This was kind of a joke of an opening. I'm going to tell you what it is. It's pawn to f5 here. It's called the Jänisch Gambit, or the Schliemann Gambit. And it was kind of a joke of an opening until in 2007, this one guy named Timur Rajabov from Azerbaijan, he started playing this a whole lot. And he started playing it at the top level. He is a top level player. And in 2008, he went on this spree of playing it against everyone who's anyone in the chess world. He played it first in the first month of 2008 against Judith Polgar, the greatest female chess player of all time, in none other than the super tournament named Vikanje in the Netherlands that happens every January. He played it against her with black and he managed to draw. Now, this gambit objectively is quite dubious. It gives white a certain plus, but if you don't know exactly what to play, you're kind of in trouble of running equality, and if not, it can get really troubling for the white pieces. The next month, Rajabov played it again against none other than Viswanathan Anand. The month later, like February 2008, and he draws Anand as well with the black pieces, with the Jänisch. And sooner or later, Magnus picks up on this, and you know who? He plays it with black in a very nice tournament in Bilbao against Anand once again in the same year. And in 2008, this opening virtually blows up and is actually titled playable in the top level chess sphere. And now we come to 2025 and I play it. So I've been playing it not because I know all of that, but this backstory is super interesting to knowing where it's at. Today, engines have pretty much solved this opening and give a little bit less than +1 to the white pieces. So you can imagine when I play pawn to f5 here against my grandmaster opponent, who I am sweating against. I have a small smirk on my face while playing this because this is my blitz opening with black. I play this against the Re Lopez with black 9.9 times out of 10. And so it's already my mission going into this game that I'm laying f5 on the board. And my opponent goes knight to c3. So there's many things you can play here. Main line is d3, main line is d3, defending the pawn, but knight c3 is also playable, defending the pawn a different way. And this is my preferred way to play against this. I like this for black. It's very easy play. You take once, force the knight to take back, and then you play knight f6, hitting the knight on e4. White once again has pretty much 2 tries. I mean, bishop takes kind of equalizes after d takes, but white can either take, after which queen takes, and it's pretty much balanced, or queen e2. Queen e2, very sensible move, and that's what my opponent played against me. Now, I like playing against queen e2 a lot because it gives a very interesting and very rare kind of pawn structure and overall position. So the move here is d5. This is still book. My opponent, with the knight attacked, takes, and I take with my pawn. You can't take with your queen here. This time, you actually give a pawn because of this pin. So you do have to defend that e5 pawn with a pawn, and that's why you recapture with the g pawn. And so if white wants any sort of advantage, you play d4 here, attacking and thrusting a third piece onto this vulnerable center. This pretty much forces e4. But once again, you know, Timur Rajabov used to play this, and against Judit Polgar, he played bishop g7. And the idea is after takes, you don't take here because knight takes, but you actually play castles. And he managed a draw against her in 2008, the big year of the Jänisch Gambit. I played e4, however. You're not really attacking this knight because the queen is pinning the pawn. So knight h4, best move. This opens up kind of the lane for the queen to attack our vulnerable king in the center. And once again, I'm telling you, this is a super like weird sort of opening in which I have one piece developed, it's pinned, nothing else is moved in my position. It's all pawn moves so far. And so from a naked eye, if you don't know this opening, you're kind of sweating bricks here because queen h5 is coming in and suddenly your king's being hunted. Thankfully, I play one of the two moves that are playable here, queen e7 and bishop e6, both aimed against blocking against queen h5. So I play bishop e6, queen h5 check, and now bishop f7 covering my king. My opponent goes queen f5, and once again, this is the type of opening you really need to know your stuff. It's not like a system opening like the London system, no offense to London players, but in the London system, you know pretty much where everything goes, and you just need to know the move order, and you're fine. Here, it's super sharp. So if you don't play the equalizing move here, your position just falls, right, little by little. So I play queen d7 here, which is the best move and looks outrageous, right? You're just like giving this funny pawn. And not only that, you're inviting the queen to take and preventing you from long castles, which is the plan you want to play with black here. And after queen takes f6, it's also attacking your rook. So it looks like free candy. But after rook g8 only move, right, your rook is attacked. Black is actually doing fine here. Let's say some normal move, c3. Then you go with bishop e7, attacking the queen, queen h6, defending this knight that's attacked. And after castles, I beg to ask the question, where's your source of advantage as the white pieces? You're up a pawn, but I would not advise for white to castle here. It looks like you gain a massive attack with the black pieces, and the engine gives -4, like losing on the spot. Some queen g4 here is a problem to face. Also rook g4. So my opponent goes bishop f4 here after queen d7. And so I trade queens and castle. And we get into an endgame. And I know that this endgame is okay. It's at least okay for black. I have it from memory. But this is a blitz game. So I have to play quickly while looks like I still have a pretty bad position. Okay, my position looks terrible. My opponent castles. And now I want to kick these annoying pieces. My bishop specifically is like severely controlled by this knight for some reason. Like this knight's got a specific burden against my bishop. So my other bishop helps him out with bishop e6, kicking the knight. If g4, I can have interesting play with h5, kind of attacking this pawn. So my opponent goes back, knight e3. And now I go for f5 here. I want to strengthen my triangle of pawns. It's a slight mistake. It allows g3 for some reason, says the engine. It's only a mistake because this was a much better move, aiming for knight g6, attacking the bishop, and then f4, f5, f4 goes with a greater punch. So I play f5 anyways, my opponent goes f3, trying to stab at my now solid pawn structure, so I'm quite happy I played f5, and I go rook g8, putting my piece on its best square, aiming for a weakness, but it's not that weak, but it's just piece placement. My opponent goes g4, and now I go, whoa. You'd think I'd have this covered, right? This is under threat, under fire, but then this move is kind of firing at my pawn on f5. And if I take this one, and then this is a fork. So kind of not obvious. And if I take here, it takes. And if I take here, takes is attacking my bishop, and this pawn is weak on f3. So I took a very long time here, and I actually ended up playing a very nice move, knight e7. What matters is this is at fault. So if I cover it with my knight, everything should be okay. So he takes on e4, I take with the f pawn, and now I garner for myself a protected pass pawn, and this will matter in the later stages of this game. My opponent goes h3, and now this bishop just looks loose to me. So I take care of this bishop first, bishop back to e2, and now I'm in the kicking bishop business. $5 a piece. Come kick your bishops. Come get your bishops kicked. Bishop back to h2, and now knight h4. I love this move, but I missed the tactic. So I'll explain this move later, but I had bishop h6 here. Naughty, naughty. This is pinning the knight, and it's actually quite hard for white to defend this. You have to go bishop g1 or king d2. And if bishop g1, these rooks are kind of not happy because they're not connected anymore. Rooks are like magnetic fields. They like being intertwined. I don't have a quantum physics degree. So anyways, I missed that. I played knight h4. Again, these moves are played in like 2-3 seconds. Here, I'm trying to really pierce into this position, specifically this really weak f3 square. And my knight is really nicely blockading the structure of pawns, which I really liked. You don't want these pawns to mobilize and 2v1 on the king side and just create a pass pawn. So this knight is kind of a burden for the white pieces. My opponent goes rook hf1, and now I go bishop e7. And right after I played this move, you can see it on the screen, I was like, I just missed bishop h6, which would have been a nice move too. But okay, this is fine. It's the best move in this position. And now clearly my opponent, who has, at the time, over 100 points rating on me, goes king b1, getting out of this pin potentially. So now I go rook f8. I'm trying to challenge the file, c4. And this is picking at my center. If this line opens up, it's on my king. So I have to play precisely. But now I noticed like this knight is very loose once again. Loose pieces call for action. So I go bishop g5, attacking the knight, forcing it to move or be defended. And my opponent plays this nice, clever c takes d5, attacking my bishop. So it nullifies my threat by creating another threat on the board. So I take back with the pawn, reinstalling my threat. And now rook c1 check, king moves. And he decides to defend the knight this way, which I found was kind of weird. You don't want to defend your knight with a stronger piece than your knight. Because if I attack that stronger piece, okay, this is unlikely, but if I do, then this piece has to remain on a square that defends this knight, and that's a whole kerfuffle. And not only that, this move, okay, it's the best move of the position, so like respect, but still in this position, which is already bad for white, this move amplificates the lack of defense now on this rook. So this rook is like less defended. If I were to take this, you're not in a position to take back with the rook and take the file for yourself, which is kind of how these rook dynamics work. You always want to take back your rook with this file in hand. So now I have a real opportunity to take, and I take that opportunity. Rook takes, bishop takes. And this is a mistake, but I realize that if knight takes is still quite good for me. I go rook f8, I'm threatening some forky forks, and I was quite happy with this too. But bishop takes, and now I still play rook f8. And here my opponent plays bishop b5. And now I'm at 1 minute, and I decide to take a quarter of my time here. And I kind of look at some stuff. So I think to myself, if my rook is here, because I'm thinking of my next move, I can attack this bishop. Infiltrate and attack a piece is always good. But then I was like, what if a king is here? I imagined a king on c2. What if a king was here? This would be a fork and I would win the bishop. So how can I check the king first, force it up, and then win the bishop with rook f2? So then I was like, okay, this square has two defenders. I can remove one defender quite automatically right now, but this defender is pretty much sealed in. I can see your face. I can see your face. So we have to do something about this bishop. I'm sure you guessed it. So in this position, the bishop has very few squares to keep continuing the defense of this f1 square, which basically, if I have it to myself, I win the game. If bishop e2, I have rook f2, which is forking these two bishops. So I'm sure you guessed it by now, I played a6 after 15 seconds of thought. I thought it was longer than that, but okay. And so now if bishop e2, rook f2, attacking both bishops, but now bishop c7, I have king d7. And this matters because this bishop is still hanging, and once it moves, this rook is somehow overloaded after bishop takes knight. The rook can't continuously defend this weak bishop on c7, and black would end up a piece. So white is in trouble. You can try to check me first after a6, and now, sure, my king is not on d7, attacking this bishop, but where does this bishop fall? Bishop e2 would give rook f2, and now the black pieces are infiltrating. This is the best of the lines. My opponent, after a6, played quite fast. He played bishop a4 here. And so I double check the tactic, and I go, like I lock in. So I go like this. Almost all pre-moved, right? Yeah, 45 seconds. I play this in 3 seconds. It's all forced. Check now, and after the king moves up, I win a bishop. And now I'm up a piece in an endgame against, we don't know who this is yet. Goran Todorovic. Supposedly a very strong grandmaster. If he's 2680 at this point in his life, I don't know. So 2680, grandmaster up a piece. I'm feeling pretty good. But I'm still nervous because it's never over till it's over, and sometimes these fall through my fingers. Sorry, that was a burp. Although I will say, white loses a piece and has zip counterplay. What do you do here? White doesn't even have something as small as a file to themselves. So bishop b3. Now I'm trying to win more material. So I go like knight f3, masking this rook, so I can take this. So pawn to a4. It's funny, I actually wanted to block this pawn here, so as to restrict this bishop on b3. I found that this was a very nice touch. Bishop went back to c2, like the pieces are terrible. So I take now, and now b4, and I play b6, a very nice move again, keeping this pawn stuck on a4, and just making this bishop bad. And after b5, that's pretty evident that the bishop has no future, whereas 3 moves ago, the bishop at least was staring on this diagonal into my zone. And now I find a very nice move. So converting in chess is a whole new thing, and you should know how to do that thing good. And here, one of those things to convert is to trade pieces of equal value. So white's most threatening or dangerous piece, not really in this position, being blocked here, is this rook. And I can force the trade of rooks by trading off this rook here. And what a discovered rook trade. So takes, and now I'm trying to win this pawn so that this pawn just h1. My opponent goes bishop d1, and now I go knight f2, forking the bishop and pawn. And my opponent can just move here, but then instead gave me a very nice present, king d2. And this makes the job very easy for me because I can just swap the knight for the bishop and win this pawn with check. And here my opponent resigned. And so then, after the game, first of all, I won 12 points, which was huge. My rating went back up to 2,500. Huge. Then I kind of ran that way and then came back because, wow, I have beaten many grandmasters on chess.com, but between us, they were 2400s or maybe even late 2300s, close to 2500s, but between us, they were slow on time in the blitz format. So I was probably losing, or the position was equal, and then I was able to flag them respectfully and win the game, right? This is the first time I legitimately beat a grandmaster. Not because of time whatsoever. I mean, I finished the game with half his time. So huge milestone for me. My strongest win on chess.com. That is like a very honest, strong win. I've beaten a 2700, but beating someone who's a grandmaster. Then I went to check his profile, and this guy, Goran M. Torodovic. But then I looked at his FIDE, and no less than 21 years ago, this guy's peak was 2550 FIDE rating. My FIDE rating is 500 points below that. So you can imagine how big of a win this was for the channel, for me personally, for my chess.com account, I guess. And I felt happy. I wanted to share that happiness with you today. So thank you so much for watching, and see you in a future video. Consider subscribing if you want more of these to your door.